Good morning and welcome again to the GDFL Footy Show, coming to you out of a beautiful Saturday morning in Geelong. And yes, my word, the weather has got a bit cooler, more like a genuine footy weekend. Fantastic indeed. Big games on last weekend, and the Tommy Tigers, well, they held on to overcome a rampaging Belpost Hill Panthers coming home with a rush. And he got in by a few points at 5 goals to the Forbes brothers, Lucas and Marcus. Very happy down there at the Tommy Tigers out at the Godfrey Street Thunderdome. Werribee Central's much too good for Inverloon. I reckon our mate Dale Smith would wish he was back on the footy show again on a Saturday morning. Much too good for Inverloon Hawks there. North Geelong Magpies continue on their merry way with their fantastic start to a season. They were too good for the Cryer Devils, with Hutchison kicking 5 and the gun recruit out at North Geelong, Corey Chapman, kicking 4 goals, along with Paul Briggy, 4 goals, the fantastic full forward. And once again, for the second week in a row, Justin de Blasio, best on the ground for the North Geelong Magpies, having a great season indeed. Out at Footrod Flats, the Anarchy Roos, too good for Winchelsea. Nick Costello kicking 5 goals for the Anarchy Roos, and best on the ground. A fantastic effort there by Nick. And of course, the 94.7 match of the day was the East Geelong Eagles. They were much too... Was it the East Geelong Eagles the match of the day, Eric? Thank you, just confirming that. A bit confusing there. Much too good for the Belmont Lions. Lucas Murphy, the last year's Whitley medalist, kicking 4 goals. And fabulous Freddie Logan, he's back with the Belmont Lions this year, and he kicked 3 goals. Fantastic to see Freddie back. I think he's had his 5th wedding or something. He's back on track again, no worries at all. And out at Victoria Park, the Bannockburn Tigers, too good for Geelong West. Their first win of the season a couple of weeks ago, but back to a thud this weekend. And with Michael Allen kicking 5 goals for the Bannockburn Tigers. Hello, I'm Dick Philpott, and once again I have assembled some of the biggest names and brains in local football to eradicate, adjudicate, and definitely not procrastinate. And of course, when I say brains, I mean maybe just brain this weekend, because unfortunately Grubby Cations has sent a note in that he's crook. I reckon he might be just about good enough to make it to the big game this afternoon, but at this stage Grubby's not well, so I have got the #1 commentator in local football. Doesn't need much introduction to the people at home. That's Eric Nicholls. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Dick. Nice to be back again, and even though it's very early for an old fellow on a Saturday morning.
Well, yeah, all old fellas, it's a bit hard on a Saturday morning, isn't it, mate, to get out of bed and front up, but we like doing it. It's a wonderful thing we do, plus the pay's too good anyway. And of course, the big game last week, Eric, very quickly, East Geelong and Belmont Lions, a good game there, and Belmont Lions probably a little bit way to go. East Geelong finding some form again. Yes,
it was an interesting game in the context that the wind was very, very strong, Dick, and it made football conditions very difficult. They bounced out pretty well, Belmont Lions. East got back to level pegging at half-time. A brilliant second half. They played great control footy, and they're back, I think, the East Geelong Eagles.
Well, of course, after the game, Eric caught up with Tom Perrett, who is the coach of the East Geelong Eagles. Here's Eric.
Great pleasure indeed. And Tom, a very difficult day in very difficult conditions. The third quarter won it for you?
Yeah, look, it was good to, after a sort of a 50-50 first half, I put a challenge on the boys at half-time. I told them, look, we've got to come out, we've got to nullify their midfield speed. We hope to sort of bottle things up and choke them down, and we managed to do that. And, I thought our defence held up really well under relentless attack from Belmont, and our midfield was, just sensational today as well, and helped us out to obviously get the job done.
A couple of experienced players, Ryan Coy in particular in the third quarter. I don't know whether you put the challenge to him, but he played a magnificent quarter behind the ball and basically controlled it.
Yeah, look, Ryan is our assistant coach and our captain. I sort of went to him at half-time. I said, listen, mate, I need a bit more from you. And, a couple of other fellas have sort of, put it on them, like I said, just before, said, this is going to be a huge challenge. The third quarter was going to be like none other we'd played before. I thought that it was probably, as far as breezes go, I thought it was about 7-goal breeze. And I thought their first quarter was par for the course, and we just couldn't let another 7 in the third quarter, because it was going to make things too hard in the last quarter. Everyone was tired, and I had a feeling that Belmont would put players behind the ball in the last quarter, so we had to sort of really limit the damage in the third quarter. We managed to, I think it was they kicked 2 and we kicked 1, so it's pretty good.
And the hallmark of a good side, where you really went on with the job in the final quarter, had the breeze and probably outplayed them comprehensively, because they really couldn't get behind the ball.
Yeah, we thought that what we had to do in with a lot of sides in this comp, and like basically with whoever you're playing, if you can move the ball quickly and precisely, you're going to be very hard to beat, no matter what the conditions, whether you're playing into the wind or against the wind, whether it's raining or snowing or hailing, whatever, it's 25 degrees. So we thought if we moved the ball quickly, they'd struggle to get their big tools back in the hole, and we give our forwards like Josh Bowman, Lucas Murphy, and our small crummers like Andrew Challis, etc., Jake Mawson, Jesse Mawson, give them the best chance possible to put a score on the board in the last quarter.
Fantastic interview there. Eric Nicholls with Tom Perrett, the coach of the East Geelong Eagles. Eric will be back again next Saturday morning with another fantastic interview from the match of the day. We're now time for our Colts segment. We've got Mitch Cleary talking everything that is Colts football in the Geelong region. Here's Mitch.
Thanks, Dick. This morning sees the final round of Colts grading action before the real stuff gets underway next weekend. The league has changed around the fixtures a little from when they were originally released at the start of the season, which gives teams a good chance to push for the top divisions. This morning, Geelong Amateur travelled to Drysdale, which should be a close contest. Their seniors have been close rivals in the past few seasons, Drysdale beating Geelong Amateur for 2 senior premierships over the last few seasons, and this should translate to a cracker this morning. Both these sides have been close contenders in the Ballerine Under-18s competition over the past few years, so expect that both these sides to be pushing for Division 1 in the new Colts competition. East Geelong take on Cres in a bizarre set of circumstances this morning, both these sides not even playing at home. With Belfast Till not having a under-18 side this season, both these sides will play at Belfast Till's My Reserve as this East Geelong take on Belfast Till in the seniors. These sides have had mixed results in the first few rounds of Colts action, so it'll be a good chance for them to push for the top divisions and show their case before the real stuff gets underway. And in the final match, Queenscliff take on Barwon Heads, which should be a shootout at either end of the ground. Sam Listro and Scott Mitchell, both leading goal kickers for their respective sides. Listro, the leading goal kicker in the competition with 15. That's all for Colts this week. I'll be back next week. Back to you, Dick.
Thanks, Mitch. We'll see you again next Saturday morning. Well, we'll take a short break now, pay some bills. When we come back, we've got a very special guest coming up, someone who is a friend to everybody in local footy. Back after this.
From all around Geelong, I'm gonna tell you how football is strong. We are the Raiders from all around Geelong. I'm gonna tell you how football is
And welcome back. Now, we said before the last break that we've got a very special guest on the show this morning, and he certainly does represent all that's good in football and a very popular part of football in Geelong, or right across Australia, actually. He is actually the Director of Umpires in Geelong, the Geelong Football Umpires League. He's done 18 BFL matches and 34 TAC matches. Yes, the big fella's done his research this weekend. Don't you worry about that. I speak, of course, of the man that's our special guest this morning on the GDFL Footy Show, Scott McLeod. Good morning, Scott.
Morning, Dick.
And, of course, today is Umpires Appreciation Week. And I can tell you now, Scott, all the years I've been around local footy, I've appreciated everything that you guys do. I can really assure you that. I've been a great friend of the umpires, going back to Murray Fanning and
I've got a terrible cough.
What's that fella used to wear the bow tie, Eric? Adam
Gladkey.
Adam Gladkey with a bow tie. Lovely. Umpires are a wonderful lot of people in Geelong, I can tell you. So what is special about Umpire Appreciation Week, Scott?
Well, I think that Umpire Appreciation Round is really important for the community, that we support the umpires out there. I think that it's something that raises emotions in a lot of people, and that's fair enough. I know as my experience, I certainly have never agreed with every umpiring decision out there, but I certainly have supported their role in the game, and I think that we have to celebrate these occurrences as we do throughout the year. We have a number of feature rounds, if you like. We have an all-girls panel who do a game throughout the year as well, and supporting the role that females play in umpiring. But just across the board, there's so many people's kids that are umpiring at lower level football. We have grandpas that are out there umpiring football, dads, mums, female. We've got a whole wide range of people who are umpires in our community, and without them, I think the game of football would be a lot worse off. So it's just an acknowledgement of their efforts for the community, and certainly something that I think that the clubs have embraced.
A chance for you and me, Eric. I've heard him say grandpas are getting out there helping out in the umpiring circuits as well.
Absolutely, Dick, for sure. Scotty, yours is an interesting story. You and I go back quite a way, because you were a player with East Geelong when I first started calling. You've represented Geelong District Footy League and Interleague. You became an umpire, and I think from memory we might have interviewed you in this very studio when that happened. Right. Now you're Director of Umpiring. It's been an interesting story. Enjoyed it all?
It's been a really enjoyable experience that I've had. I think I've been privileged to come from so many different areas in relation to football. Started my days as a junior player at Leopold, moved through to senior grade there, and also at East Geelong. I had some personal success, I had some team success. I then obviously moved into umpiring and had some success in umpiring, and then now returned to again give something back to the group and to the game of football that I love, and by being the director of umpiring, I believe I can influence and make a difference to those people who go out there and officiate the games and week in, week out. So I'm privileged to sit on all sides of the fence, if you like, and I certainly would like to put as much back into it as I can.
Your background as a school teacher, has that benefited, one, your umpiring, and more particularly now, the fact that you're educating umpires?
The transition for me into from being an umpire into going on and being the director of umpiring was a smooth one for me. I was able to, a lot of the skills that I had developed as being a teacher have been transferable easily to the group that I am instructing with the umpires. So leading lectures with them, talking about the ways that they can improve on their performances and their matches. All of those things come naturally to me, and it's something that I'm passionate about, and that is improving the individual capacity that we have with our group. And that could be, as I said, someone who's an experienced umpire all the way down to the youngest boy or girl that we have that walks in the door.
Scotty, I know that you guys are desperate to see people come along and have a crack at umpiring. Numbers are always a problem, not so much, I guess, in the centrals, but around the boundaries and the goal umpires. You're looking for anybody to come along and have a crack and contact you guys at the Geelong Footy Umpires League or website or whatever, which way they want to get onto it.
Yeah, that's right, Dick. We always have that issue of numbers. We're quite a big organisation. We're well over 300 in terms of our numbers. And if you equate us to and compare us to football clubs, we outstretch some of those football clubs with our numbers. And given the amount of games that we need to cover on a weekly basis, it's well over 100 games. And I suppose as a player or a supporter of a club, you don't see that big wide spectrum. That's out there. So we do need numbers,
Yep.
and we're always welcoming individuals to come down.
Now, speaking of numbers, I understand you've got a couple of big recruits out at the Belpost till East Geelong game this Saturday in the reserves. The two big honchos of the individual leagues in Geelong. Andy Wabowski will take the flags down one end, and Neville Whitley, the OAM, the GDFL chairman of football, will be up the other end with these flags. Now, they've been down and you've given them a bit of a training session, is that right?
We put them through their paces down there on Tuesday night, and they're really excited. We kitted them out with their orange gear and gave them their orange flags. So they're going to look a treat in the goal squares.
He'd look like a box of Jaffas, Neville, wouldn't he?
Oh, no, look, he came up really well. So he'll enjoy his day today, and they both will. And also we have Brendan Beveridge in charge of the
What's he going to do?
GFUL. He's going to be in the middle of the ground, so we have the three head honchos out there running that game for those guys. And
There'll be three umpires with 220 years in age amongst them. Have they got wheelchairs at either end for
I
them?
think there's a couple of support from some club umpires there as well to get them across the line. But look, they're really looking forward to the opportunity and getting there, and they're very supportive, obviously, of our plight. And to get them involved, and let's hope they can mark those cards correctly and wave those flags properly.
Are they going to do the whole game, or...?
They're there for the whole game, yes.
Well, it's good because we've got the defibrillators at the games now, which will be good for those old blokes. That's unbelievable. Scott, thanks so much for coming in and talking about the umpires. It is a passion, I know, and we always have a bit of a laugh about it and a joke, and I guess when they carry me away in a box, although they reckon no one's going to carry me anyway, we'll never understand some of the decisions, and I guess that's what makes our game so special. It's not black and white North Geelong, of course, but it's not just cut and dried, the decisions, and there'll always be a little margin there for error, but it's fun, we enjoy it, and it causes a great lot of conversation around the water tank or the coffee station on a Monday morning, and that's the good thing about footy. We love it, and whether we agree or disagree with the umpire, we need you guys at our game every week, and I really encourage everybody out there, tell your kids if they want to have a crack at do something on a Saturday if they can't play footy, get out and be a boundary umpire or a goal umpire and support these guys because they're fantastic. Now, Scott, will you please hang around to the next segment and talk about all the games on this afternoon?
I'd love to.
We'd love to get your unbiased opinion, mate. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about all the big games on this afternoon. Back after this.
We are the Raiders from all around Geelong. I'm here to tell you how Geelong and District Football League. We are the Raiders from all around Geelong. to tell you how football is strong.
And welcome back. And of course, there is a big round of footy on this afternoon, and none bigger than the one out of Victoria Park. Gee, I love the sound of that word, Victoria Park. It's out at Bannockburn. It's the Bannockburn Tigers, and they're getting pretty good form at the moment. And they take on the Anarchy Roos, and they're going along pretty nicely as well for the Footrod Flats. Eric, it should be a very, very interesting game indeed.
Certainly should, Dick. And Anarchy first, Anarchy fourth, Bannockburn first, and I suppose the positions belie the teams really, because Bannockburn have beaten Inverleigh, Corio and West, whereas Anarchy have had wins against West and Winch and lost against Thompson. So you could say that perhaps neither side's beaten too much opposition, but the fact that it's at Bannockburn, you'd have to favour the home side. Although Anarchy, they've got a point to prove. They were a good side last year, fell apart toward the end, and they're coming back fairly strong this year. But I would think Bannockburn at home too strong today.
Scott, well, yes, there's a big chance, mate, to be an expert in tipping the footy, and you've got to be careful because wherever you tip, they'll say the umpires are favouring them, so you've got to be a bit diplomatic. Who do you reckon, Bannockburn or Anarchy?
Oh, look, Bannockburn are always hard to beat when I was a player out there when they're at home at Bannockburn, so yeah, I can't see them getting defeated today out there.
Another big game on this afternoon. Well, because you can see that game, of course, this afternoon on it's on 94.7 The Pulse. That's them on your screen right now from 1:30 this afternoon. You'll hear Eric and hopefully Grub will be out of his sick bed. It should be a fantastic afternoon in footy indeed, the local footy match of the day. And next game we've got this afternoon is out at the Winter Resort, and it's Cogs's Belmont Lions, and they take on the Inverleigh Hawks. And of course the Belmont Lions, fabulous Freddie Logan's back, Eric, so that means a lot, they tell me.
Well, he was back for a little while last week, Dick. I think he went missing after half-time, which was unfortunate because he was absolutely brilliant in the first quarter. But two sides here, Dick, no wins, 3 losses, and would be very disappointed. The only difference is Belmont Lions have lost to Thompson, Belpost Hill and East, 3 of the top sides.
Big start for them, wasn't it?
Whereas Inverleigh, Bannockburn, North Geelong and Werribee. So the comparison is there, but Dale would be absolutely devastated with that start from Inverleigh, and I think they've got the job to do. Belmont Lions, I've got to say, last week were in the game till half-time, and speaking to a few people from Belmont Lions, they've been in each of the first 3 games for the first half. Look, I fancy Inverleigh. I think they've got a point to prove. They were finalists last year, and they're very ordinary so far this year. I think Dale might have them up today.
So we mightn't have Dale back in the studio just yet. He might hang on to his job another week. No, we're not starting any rumours, Smithy. Don't worry about that. Scott, what do you reckon, mate?
Oh, it's tough to go down 0-4 in the first 4 rounds, so it'll be a ripping game, I think, and I actually might toss of the coin, go for Belmont Lions.
Toss of the coin. Very diplomatic, the umpires, aren't they, folks? Out at the Ring Road Recreation Reserve, it's a fantastic game out there. Belpost Hill coming out of a loss last week, which wouldn't have done their ego much good at all. They take on East Geelong, have found a bit of form again. This will be a ripper out at the Ring Road Recreation Reserve, Eric, and one would think this would be a fantastic close game. Last
year's grand finalist, Dick, and why wouldn't it be a tough game? Both sides so far in the 3 games this year have defeated Werribee Centrals. Belpost still struggled to beat them round 1, but East Geelong in round 2 absolutely brilliant apparently, and won very, very well. This will be a very tight game. If I got to toss a coin, I maybe go the home side, Belpost still just, but this could almost be a draw.
Now, Scott, we've got to be very careful this game because we did let it out of the bag earlier on that you used to play for East Geelong. So we take it that if you're anywhere near an East Geelong ground, you might be favouring them a bit, maybe. No?
No, that's not true at all.
All right, who do you reckon will win out of Belpost Hill and East Geelong?
Oh, look, for the sake of a tip, I've got the bit of East blood through my veins.
Oh, here we go, here we go.
Here we go. I have to tip East Geelong to win, but good luck to Belpost Hill as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Up at the Duck Pond, we'll hope Grubby is out of his sick bed this afternoon because his beloved Werribee Central's Ducks, they're home to the Corio Devils, who were coming off a very bad loss against the North Geelong Magpies last week. Well, did you give Corio any chance at all, Eric?
Look, I really don't going to Werribee, Dick, because Werribee Central's at home, 1 win out of the first 3. I think they'll be desperate to improve that today, so I think too strong.
Scott?
Werribee too good.
Too good? Yeah, okay, fair enough. The Ducks, they need to have a win, don't they? They've got a pretty ordinary season for the Ducks. Absolutely. They haven't been plucking their feathers too well over the summer, by the looks of it. Out at the Keith, careful there, folks. Out at the Keith Barclay Oval, it is the North Geelong Magpies, and they're going absolutely fantastic at the moment. Yeah, the big fella's got a big smile on his face. And they take on the Geelong West Cheetahs, who had their first win a couple of weeks ago, brought down to earth last week, and unfortunately, Eric, And I know I'm a bit biased at times. I can't see them beating the Magpies at home.
No, we saw North Geelong earlier on, and they played very well, and they are a very good side. And 3-0, I think, is indicative of where they're at, having beaten East Geelong. Geelong West, they've had a win certainly, but I think they've got a long way to go, and that North may well improve their percentage today.
He can be my friend as an umpire for the first time in my life. I get an umpire's friend. Who do you reckon will win out of North Geelong and Geelong West, Scotty?
I saw North Geelong earlier in the year. Very impressive. I thought their fitness was quite strong from an outside looking in. They finished games really well and were quite dominant. So I think North Geelong will have a good year, and I expect them to win that game.
So we'll have it on record, the umpires do, in fact, like the North Geelong Magpies. Is that right? Oh, don't answer the question. I know it's a hard one for her to answer, mate. That's all right.
We don't just like any teams out.
I try hard, folks. I really do. Oh, dear. Anyway, out at the Gun Club, the Winchelsea Blues, in front of that magnificent renovation out there, bigger than the southern stand of the MCG, they take on... Who do they take on? Let's have a look at my record there. They take on the boys from the Godfrey Street Thunderdome, the Violet Crumbles, Tommy Tigers. How are they going to go, Rick?
Well, Thompson on top of the world after defeating Belpost Hill last week. Winchelsea have been in each game for about halfway, but they've got to play 4 quarters to have any chance of winning. Thompson, they might be the up-and-comers this year to really be in the finals. I think they'll win well today.
Yeah, they've come out of nowhere, the Tommy Tigers, haven't they? It's a bit of a worry, and of course, I'm their number one fan, of course.
Yeah, I know.
I'm really worried about them now. They weren't supposed to be playing as good. Tommy Tigers, you reckon, be all right at Winchelsea, Scott?
Yeah, I think so. I agree with Eric. It's always a tough trip to go out to Winchelsea. But
You've got to duck the bullets out there too.
Well,
you umpired out there when they started shooting guns out there?
No, I haven't umpired out there. Certainly played out there when there's a few going off, but not umpired out there in that respect. But yeah, I agree. I think Winchelsea will hang around for a while, but I think Thompson might be too strong at the end.
Fantastic. Well, that takes care of the games on this afternoon. Make sure you tune in to 94.7 The Pulse this afternoon for the big game, which is Bannockburn Tigers taking on the Anarchy Roos, 1:30 this afternoon. Thanks very much again for coming in, Scott, and we do wish the umpires all the best, not only for this week, Umpires Appreciation Round, but also for the rest of the season, mate. We'll hopefully come back on the show again shortly.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, mate. Eric, have a wonderful afternoon out at Victoria Park, out there with my mate, Billy Caldo. You're running around out there, but good old days out there, the old day we played Stonehaven.
Actually, I don't want to destroy you, Dick, but I'll actually be at Cadinia Park this afternoon.
Oh, we've got a day off, have we?
Yes, we have, yeah.
Well, geez, if Grubby's not commentating, so we won't even go there.
Grubby, Andrew, the aces will be there.
Oh, good on you, mate. We'll have a fantastic afternoon anyway, and I know you're a bit tired this morning because you're out at the North Geelong Oval last night watching the Grovedale Raw take on the Geelong Magpies under 10, and I know you were barracking for young Bryson Nicholls. I won't get on about that game. We'll talk about it later on. Have a fantastic afternoon in footy, folks. We'll see you all again next Saturday morning. Bye for now.
From all around Geelong, I'm here to tell you how football is strong. Bounce the ball, let's get into